Hello and welcome to the Storytelling channel. Today, I bring you a legendary tale full of cunning, deception, and a powerful lesson, the Wooden Horse of Troy. Sit back, open your imagination, and join me as we relive one of the most famous moments in ancient mythology. The Wooden Horse, the fall of Troy. Long ago, on the shores of the Aegean Sea, there stood a mighty city called Troy. Surrounded by towering stone walls, it was considered impenetrable, protected not only by its defenses but also by the courage of its people and the favor of the gods. Troy was a jewel of Asia Minor, rich in trade, wisdom, and beauty. But greatness often draws envy, and Troy had made powerful enemies. The story begins with a seemingly small event, one that would set empires ablaze. Paris, a prince of Troy, was sent on a diplomatic mission to Greece. There he met Helen, the queen of Sparta and wife of King Menelaus. The two fell deeply in love. Against every custom of honor and hospitality, Paris took Helen back with him to Troy. When Menelaus discovered this betrayal, he was furious. He called upon his brother, Agamemnon, the powerful king of Mycenae, and together they united the armies of Greece to seek revenge. Their cause was simple: bring back Helen and punish Troy for its insult. And so began a war that would last 10 long years. For a decade, the Greek armies camped outside the walls of Troy. Fierce battles were fought. Mighty heroes clashed swords. The most legendary warriors of the ancient world met their fates. Achilles, the nearly invincible Greek champion, was struck down. Hector, Troy's noble prince and greatest defender, fell in battle. The war dragged on, neither side able to claim victory. The Greeks grew weary. They could not breach the city walls by force. But one among them, Odysseus, the clever king of Ithaca, had an idea. A plan not of strength, but of cunning. Odysseus proposed that they build a giant wooden horse, large enough to hide men inside its hollow belly. The Greeks set to work, crafting the horse with expert care. It was a thing of beauty, towering, mysterious, and unlike anything the Trojans had ever seen. Once it was finished, the Greek army pretended to give up. They burned parts of their camp, boarded their ships, and sailed away, though in truth, they hid on a nearby island just out of sight. At dawn, the Trojans awoke to silence. The battlefield was empty, and the great wooden horse stood alone before their gates. Confused and cautious, they approached. Some believed it was a gift to the gods, a tribute to Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, a sign that the Greeks had finally surrendered. Others, like the wise priest Laocoon, were suspicious. "Beware of Greeks, even bearing gifts," he warned. In a dramatic moment, he hurled a spear into the horse's side. It echoed hollowly, but still, many dismissed his fears. Then, a terrible omen occurred. 2 giant sea serpents rose from the waves and attacked Laocoon and his sons, crushing them before the eyes of the city. The Trojans, terrified, believed this was punishment for doubting the gods. They took it as a sign to accept the gift. And so, with ropes and wheels, they dragged the giant horse into the city. The gates of Troy closed behind it. That night, Troy celebrated. The streets were filled with song, laughter, and wine. Citizens danced, believing the war was over. Fires lit up the night sky as the people rejoiced. No one noticed the danger sleeping in the center of their city. Inside the wooden horse, Odysseus and a group of elite Greek soldiers waited in silence. When the city had fallen into a deep slumber, they made their move. A hidden hatch opened in the horse's belly, and the warriors climbed down, one by one. They crept through the quiet streets to the city gates, where they overpowered the guards and opened the doors to the outside. At that very moment, the rest of the Greek army, who had silently returned by ship under the cover of night, charged into the city. Troy awoke to fire, chaos, and blood. Buildings burned, the walls were stormed, and the people, unprepared, were quickly overwhelmed. The once mighty city that had held out for 10 years fell in a single night. By morning, Troy lay in ruins, its people scattered or slain. Helen was taken back to Greece, and the war was over, not won by strength but by deception. The story of the wooden horse would be told for centuries, not just as a tale of war, but as a warning. Moral: what appears to be a gift may hide a hidden danger. Overconfidence and lack of caution can lead to downfall. And sometimes, the enemy doesn't break your walls, They wait for you to open the gates yourself. And so ends the story of the wooden horse and the fall of Troy, a tale that reminds us that not all that glitters is gold, and that cleverness can change the fate of an entire empire. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more tales like this one. See you next time.